Welcome back to Cityscape. In this episode of Secret People, we will look at Eric Hoffer, an American philosopher and longshoreman. Eric Hoffer is perhaps the most perceptive writer in recent times. Many refer to him as America's greatest philosopher. Hoffer also won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States. Despite receiving this incredible honor and publishing a book that is considered a masterpiece, Eric Hoffer remains more or less unknown. So who was he? And why is his work so culturally important? As always, let's start with the backstory of it all. Very little is known about the early life of Eric Hoffer. His life is so poorly documented. In fact, he did not show up in census records until the age of 40. Regardless of the case, Hoffer claimed to have been born in 1902 in the Bronx, New York. His parents were German immigrants, so by the age of 5, Hoffer was fluent in both English and German. Eric Hoffer lost his mother at the age of 6 and went blind the following year at the age of 7. From an inexplicable stroke of luck, his eyesight returned 8 years later at the age of 15. Fearing that he might go blind again, Hoffer began to read as many books as he could before his vision once again parted. Fortunately, his eyesight never faded, but neither would his habit of reading. Eric Hoffer's father died 3 years after his vision returned. He left the young man with just $300. Without fear or worry, Hoffer took a bus to California, where he would spend the rest of his life as a laborer and writer on a subject of America's underclass. Hoffer's most famous works are The Ordeal of Change, The True Believer, and A Passionate State of Mind. This episode will only cover his masterpiece, The True Believer. The True Believer deals with the subject of mass movement. More specifically, it identifies the type of people that tend to join such collective effort. According to Hoffer, there are 2 conditions that make a country ripe for revolution. 1. A rapid period of change. 2. A large population of misfits. The first point is rather obvious. A society going through profound technological or social change loses its stability. As people try to adopt and reorient themselves, their need for leadership becomes acute, thus opening the way for a mass movement. The second point regarding misfits, however, requires more details. Misfits are people who do not fit any of the accepted molds of society. They are the rejects of a country or culture. Someone who is a misfit has 3 options. 1. They can conform and shape themselves to a socially accepted archetype. 2. They can remain an outcast. 3. They can destroy their current social order and reshape it to their vision. Eric Hoffer argues that people in mass movements are misfits who chose the third option. In his own words,
"It has often been said that power corrupts. But it is perhaps equally important to realize that weakness too corrupts. Power corrupts the few, while weakness corrupts the many. Hatred, malice, envy, rudeness, intolerance, and suspicion are the faults of weakness. The resentment of the weak does not spring from any injustice done to them, but from their sense of inadequacy and impotence. Those who see their lives as spoiled and wasted crave equality and fraternity more than they do freedom. If they clamor for freedom, it is but freedom to establish equality and uniformity. Faith in a holy cause is to a considerable extent a substitute for lost faith in ourselves."
Hoffer goes on by saying that the misfit has deep insecurities and a sense of self-loathing. Therefore, the misfit joins a mass movement as a tool for hiding personal discrepancies. By identifying himself or herself with a larger movement, the misfit gets to enjoy a sense of glory that they would never experience as an individual without accomplishment. Again, here are Hoffer's words.
The permanent misfits can find salvation only in a complete separation from the self, and they usually find it by losing themselves in the compact collectivity of a mass movement. It is a perplexing and unpleasant truth that when men already have something worth fighting for, they do not feel like fighting. People who live full, worthwhile lives are not usually ready to die for their country, nor for a holy cause. Craving, not having, is the mother of a reckless giving of oneself.
There are actually different kinds of misfits. According to Eric Hoffer, a misfit usually falls into one or more of these categories. 1. The recently poor. 2. The impotent in body or mind. 3. Those in a grip of some vice. 4. Minorities. 5. Adolescent youth. 6. The overly ambitious. 7. The unemployed creative. And lastly, 8. The bored. All these categories have their unique reasons and role in a mass movement, and Hoffer elaborates on each one in his book. Those of you who want a deeper understanding of mass movements should certainly buy and read The True Believer. Link is in the description. To leave on a bright note, Hoffer mentions that misfits, the individuals rejected by society, are actually the ones to found new empires, new civilizations, new industries, and so on. Since traditional doors are closed to them, the incredibly creative ones have no choice but to create new lines altogether. As he poetically said,
"The discarded and rejected are more often the raw material of a nation's future. The stone the builders reject becomes the cornerstone of a new world. A nation without dregs and malcontents is orderly, decent, peaceful, and pleasant, but perhaps without the seed of new things to come." It was not the irony of history that the undesired in the countries of Europe should have crossed an ocean to build a new world on this continent. Only they could do it.
If Hoffer is right, and America is indeed a country founded by misfits, then it's fair to say that there is a fourth option. A misfit can start a new community, where they can feel at home. See you next time.